A News Channel 3 investigation into Virginia Beach and Chesapeake dentist Derrick Broadaway and other complaints led to the Board of Dentistry to revoke his license. But it doesn't mean that he'll never be able to practice again. As investigator Jessica Larche reveals, the board has a history of reinstating dentists with a shady past.
After years of News Channel 3 investigations exposing more than a decade of Derrick Broadaway's history of bad dental work,
you don't have anything to say about the disfigurement or leaving instruments in patients' mouths?
And his criminal record for writing bad checks to his employees.
It's like ridiculous.
You said it's effing ridiculous?
It is. You need.
This is not ridiculous. You pay people checks. That's
Can you get it on?
The State Board of Dentistry revoked his license, but that doesn't necessarily mean he'll never practice again. News Channel 3's digging through nearly a decade of the board's records reveals they've reinstated dentists who've done time for distributing cocaine, performed unnecessary and excessive procedures, committed healthcare fraud, heated a dental probe with a cigarette lighter. We questioned the board's executive director, Sandra Reen, about what some patients call damaging decisions. How is it that a dentist like that is still allowed to practice?
It's a judgment call of the board. And I can't elaborate.
Records show that even though several dentists qualify for license revocation, the board usually orders suspensions, fines, and continuing education. They revoked less than a dozen licenses in the last decade and chose to reinstate some of them. The board reinstated Roy Shelburne after a federal court found him guilty of healthcare fraud. The board also gave Robert M. Block of Florida the green light to practice in Virginia. Records say he performed unnecessary root canals and violently slammed a patient's head back in a chair during treatment.
Really, they are not protecting the citizens of Virginia. It's ridiculous.
Former Broadaway patient Rosemary Rogers was livid Broadaway's license wasn't revoked years ago. Records say he botched her root canal and falsified her medical records. The board suspended him for 2 months, fined him $20,000, and temporarily banned him from doing root canals.
I don't understand. Does somebody have to die before they will revoke his license?
Every day I would wake up, there was pus in my mouth.
After hearing from Lamar Price, several other former patients, and dentists who said they had to correct Broadaway's work, the board decided to revoke his license. Former patients pray the board doesn't ever deem him fit to practice.
They're responsible just as much as Dr. Broadaway and these other bad dentists. They knew about it.
Now, the state just released this official ruling on Broadaway. It says if he wants his license back in 3 years, 3/4 of the board has to agree. They're also fining him $5,000, and if he doesn't pay that in 45 days, it will be sent to collections. Jessica Larche, News Channel 3.
New details in a News Channel 3 investigation after years of reporting on his questionable dental work. Derrick Broadaway's license has been revoked. Investigator Jessica Larche broke the story about his problems with the Board of Dentistry years ago, and she's here with more.
We traveled to Richmond Friday for Broadaway's hearing before the board. Former patients testified about his bad dental work, and so did other dentists who said they had to correct his mistakes. He's been through hearings like this before, and the board's historically given him chance after chance, but now, in a rare move, they decided to revoke his license. Dentist Derrick Broadaway's license revoked. The Board of Dentistry made the call at 2 a.m. Saturday at the end of a 13-hour-long hearing.
I'm thrilled. It's been a long time in coming for me and for a lot of other people.
Former Broadaway patient Rosemary Rogers first spoke out to News Channel 3 in 2012. Her complaints led to his 60-day suspension and $20,000 fine that summer.
Insurance fraud. He falsified my medical documentation, in addition to him botching my root canal and crown.
A different batch of complaints prompted Friday's hearing in Richmond. Nearly a dozen former patients testified about how his shoddy work left them with pain, infections.
Every day I would wake up, there was pus in my mouth.
Lamar Price came to News Channel 3 years ago. X-rays showed a botched root canal with pieces of his tooth left behind. He battled an infection from it for years.
I did not expect to leave out of there losing teeth, healthy teeth, and that's what happened.
It's like ridiculous.
You said it's effing ridiculous?
It is. You need.
This is not ridiculous.
That was Broadaway last month after being sentenced in Chesapeake for writing bad checks to his employees. It's why we first started investigating him in 2012. Our digging soon revealed a 15-year-long history of problems with the Board of Dentistry.
People said that you left instruments in their mouths during surgery and didn't tell them about it. You don't have anything to say about the disfigurement or leaving instruments in patients' mouths?
Even though he met the state standard for license revocation, they never revoked his license. We questioned Board of Dentistry Executive Director Sandra Reen in 2013.
How is it that a dentist like that is still allowed to practice?
It's a judgment call of the board. And I can't elaborate.
Over the years, the board fined him for $42,000, suspended him from practicing for periods of time, banned him from doing root canals. But last month, they abruptly suspended his license, calling him a substantial danger to public health and safety. And now, in a rare move, the board has revoked his license. There are 2 other licensed dentists at Broadaway Family Dentistry, so the practice is still open. But Broadaway can't have anything to do with dentistry.
Did you say that I told you I was going to remove the root tip myself? Yes, sir. Okay.
Former Broadaway patients say the board has finally dished out a dose of justice for Broadaway's history of bad deeds.
I'm just elated that justice has finally been served, and I really pray that they do not even think about reinstating his license.
Now, in some cases, dentists whose licenses have been revoked can ask the board to be reinstated after a few years, and we haven't confirmed with the board how many years Broadaway must face. We went to his home to try to get comment, but no one answered. Jessica Larche, News Channel 3.
Developments in an ongoing News Channel 3 investigation. At this hour, former patients of local dentist Derrick Broadaway are testifying about the fallout from his questionable dental work. Investigator Jessica Larche broke the story about Broadaway's lengthy history of problems years ago, and she is live in Richmond tonight, where there's an evidentiary hearing about Broadaway's license. Jessica?
Bianca, that hearing has been going on in the building behind me since about 1 o'clock this afternoon. The Assistant Attorney General is presenting evidence that may lead to Derrick Broadaway's license being revoked.
Embattled dentist Derrick Broadaway facing the State Board of Dentistry this afternoon. The board suspended Broadaway's license last month based on 11 complaints from 8 different former patients, including Lamar Price.
Every day I would wake up, there was pus in my mouth.
Price first talked to News Channel 3 in 2012 about a botched root canal from Broadaway that led to an ongoing infection.
It's reliving a nightmare, the same nightmare that it was the day I walked into his office, and it's just got worse over time for me.
Records say his work caused gingival inflammation and the possibility of recurrent decay in one patient. Another patient complained of pain from a Broadaway procedure, and Broadaway failed to refer that patient to an oral surgeon. Another dentist diagnosed the patient with an ongoing infection. Broadaway's also accused of telling a patient that a tooth was cracked and required fixing, but x-rays showed there was nothing wrong. Virginia Beach dentist Dinah Pearl testified about bad work she discovered from a former Broadaway patient.
On tooth number 19, the margin was open all the way around the tooth.
Broadaway, representing himself today, tried to fight back at every turn.
Did you say that I told you I was going to remove the root tip myself? Yes, sir. Okay.
You don't have anything to say about the disfigurement or leaving instruments in patients' mouths?
News Channel 3 first started looking into Broadaway in 2012. He'd just come off a 60-day suspension for other bad dental work. Former patients puzzled by the Board of Dentistry's decision to allow his practice to remain open.
They knowingly permitted this person to cause this damage. They should be held responsible.
We went to the State Board of Dentistry's executive director in 2013 for answers.
How is it that a dentist like that is still allowed to practice?
It's a judgment call of the board. And I can't elaborate.
No one from the board will talk about what's happening in today's hearing. Price says he prays they take serious action before something even more serious than an ongoing infection happens to one of his patients.
Do you think that his license should have been revoked before it even got to this point?
Honestly, yes. You know, now looking at the situation, the total situation, knowing how many other patients have gone through what I've gone through, yes.
We're told that there are several more patients and dentists that are expected to testify today. We're also told that this hearing could go on for several more hours, and we don't know if the board will make a decision today or at a later date. Live in Richmond, Jessica Larche, News Channel 3.